It's not being a numbers game, it's taking care of the guest and truly getting the customer back with a good experience and not having to use, loss leader discounts to do so every time. It's just giving them that wow experience and then making sure they had a great visit and you gave them a reason to come back for more. And unfortunately, retention's here to stay and it's taking the place of CSI, and there's a lot of things tied to that. But what it means to me is culture and getting your fixed ops departments to be cohesive together, to have a common goal, and just taking care of the guest and giving them a wow experience. The biggest mistake is chasing a number and not focusing on the customer. And unfortunately, again, we're put under such immense pressure to hit a target number for retention that we take our off the ball and we don't take care of the customer and provide them with a world-class experience. We're sending out 99-cent oil changes or $9.95 oil changes and focusing on just getting that repair order count, which is what you need. But we need to do a better job of taking care of the customer itself. And I think the problem is dealerships in today's world are reacting to a number versus changing what they're doing in-house and developing their people skills to get the customer to come back. So me being one of those number chasers, right? So I had to learn the hard way is, you do what you have to do to hit the manufacturer specific target of retention. I remember my retention number with Toyota back in the early 2000s was 92.46, and that was the number to beat green. And there's so much stress that's put on you to hit the number, whether it be your job in particular, hitting the President's Award, inventory allocations. It's just a ton of stuff. So the older you get, if you stay in the game, the more patient you get and understand the game. And that is you've got to develop good people, good processes, and you have to do whatever it takes to get the customer to come back. One of the biggest challenges is when the 336, the 550, or the 6-year 100 goes out on bumper to bumper, powertrain, and emissions. Those are the top three. Customers look to bail. They don't think there's value in servicing with the dealer anymore. One of the things that I did way back is you had the ability to turn on how much warranty costs on your invoices. People thought I was crazy to do that, but I think once your customers get trained and acclimated to see how much it costs to maintain their vehicle and how much an alternator really is, that you're not too expensive when it comes time for them to start servicing outside the warranty period, and it sets an expectation of what it costs to maintain a vehicle using factory parts and factory technicians. So you've got to just make sure that you're doing all those steps before they go out of warranty to make sure that they understand the independents are not cheaper. I believe the statistical data is they're actually higher per repair order and parts and labor than the average dealership. And that's really hard to explain that to a customer. We've been fighting that for years. And a lot of times we actually push the customer to the independents before warranties just because we don't give them a good experience and they're looking for a reason to bail. The consultant is the blood, sweat, and tears. They have the hardest job in the entire dealership, in my opinion. Nobody wants to come in for service. If you really think about it, nobody wants to come in. They don't want to come in if their vehicle's not working, especially if it's under warranty. They think it shouldn't have a defect. They don't want to come in because they know someone's going to approach them to spend more money. It's inconvenient just to come to a dealership in general. I mean, to buy a car used to be exciting, but now it's not even fun. So bringing it in for service is not fun either. The consultant or the ASM or the service writer is the integral part of everything. They're the one that sets everything up for success or failure. From the meet and greet to the delivery, they've got to make sure that they're spot on. They're responsible for progress checking with the guest, setting realistic promise times, meeting those and exceeding those expectations that they set with the guest to begin with, and then give them the wow experience. And then the problem is if something doesn't go good in the entire transaction, whether you had a porter that got grease on their floor or fingerprints on the steering wheel from a tech, or someone turned the radio on in their car and they don't ever listen to radio and they think that's an invasion of privacy, to not putting their seat back right. There's a lot of things that impact a customer's experience in a negative way, perception-wise, and the service consultant has got to be prepared to overcome those things. So as a leader, you've got to prepare the consultants and let them know every situation is possible. And at the end of the day, everyone knows when the guest has not had a good experience. So for whatever that reason is, it's imperative that that consultant get that customer to a leader that can make other decisions, maybe that the writer or the consultant couldn't, to make it better before they leave. Being personal is the biggest thing you can train a consultant to be. What I mean by that is interact with the guests at their vehicle. That's their relaxed spot. Don't pull them to the desk. Keep them at their car. Use their first name as often as you can, and be polite, and use what we call permission-based selling, is asking permission to do things such as, can we walk around the car together? May I open your door? Just being courteous. But the thing too is, at the end of the experience, is to thank them. Nobody thanks customers anymore. It's just like, okay, see you later, appreciate it. Hey, look out for that survey. You need to be personal and thank people, and ask them before they leave, if there's anything that I could have done better during your service experience, would you please let me know so that I can grow? And that's not hard to say, but nobody can say it because they feel embarrassed to ask, or they know in their heart that it wasn't a good experience and they're afraid to ask, which is the worst thing in the world to do. So you just really use what the manufacturer provides to you. There's not a lot of stuff in your DMS system you can run stuff that matches in the reporting that what the factory gives you, but it's whatever the metric is for the customer. It's set in stone by the manufacturer, whether it be 2 service visits in 1 year with a customer pay or warranty visit of $1 or more, or a penny or more. That's really the only KPIs that you can use are the ones that matter, and those are the ones that are provided to you, in my opinion, by the manufacturer, and just adhere to that. But again, know what you're after. And a lot of people think that they can back into a retention number and they need 1,322 repair orders by October to be where they need to be, when in fact that's not factual, because you've got so many people moving out of the pipeline and some people jumping in the pipeline. So I think that the KPI wise, you just use what the factory gives you. I don't know what else to use there. If you're using a CRM, that's just customer information, right? So you need that, and they usually tie into your DMS, so you're blanketing and getting as much information as you can. And I think you can use that data to understand if it was a customer that just came in. Maybe you can use that data to send a thank you call, or if you're starting to get into that bucket of guests that you need that's not coming in, you can use that list to get a business development rep or a manager or leader to reach out to those guests and say, hey, Kelly, we understand you're due for service. We need another service visit by this date and time. What time would work for you? It's repair order counts, customer pay and warranty. When you start seeing it to be, you're always going to have peaks and valleys, but you'll start seeing a common trend on why things have dropped off. And that's when you really got to look and see what's changed. Did you have leadership change? Have you had a lot of turnover? Did you get rid of the shuttle? Did you used to have loaners and now you're not? Did you used to wash cars and now you're not? Or vice versa? If you started putting these things in place, did your retention go up? So what KPIs are there and benchmarks in what part of the year that are common to why you dropped or why you went up? You just got to pay attention and focus on that. And then if you did something that's really wowed people, I've always had a calendar in my office or make notes somewhere where you can reflect back on what you changed that made a big impact, whether it's positive or negative. It'll stick out. TVI MarketPro, we offer a ton of things that offer value for retention. You can't expect a marketing company today to organically bring people in via postcard and email. You've got to do everything that you can in your power in-house to make the changes necessary to get the customer back in. So if we're gonna give a guest or a client for us, the dealer, a list of customers that we've reached out to that have not come in for service that would count toward their retention, and if they have a BDC or they have an employee that can be utilized to call those, then they should do it. If they're not, then shame on them, obviously. Some dealerships don't have the luxury of having that expense structure there where they can afford to have 2 or 3 business development reps, and the tools that we provide don't really matter because they couldn't use them anyway. But I will tell you that the people that did a great job of exceeding customers' expectations or even meeting them during COVID, and have kept those practical applications in place and haven't changed, they're the ones that are winning, and they're the ones that don't have the peaks and valleys of retention. That might not go up every month, but if it drops, it's ever so slightly, and it's not hard to gain that back again. Pick up delivery, going out to customers' houses and doing key fob remotes, putting on wipers, whatever you can do to qualify a repair as an event to help your retention, you should be doing it. And I think the successful stores have not lost sight of that post-COVID, and they just keep doing what's gotten them to that benchmark, where they're up there. So all of the retention customers and stores that we have on our retention programs, whether it be TLE for Toyota or just our normal retention program, have a lot of things in place on top of what we do. Everybody panics and chases a number. I've done it. I've been at my Toyota store, and out here we were last quarter of the year, and I didn't need a ton of repair orders, but I needed them. And the problem it's not that we didn't keep her on the ball every month. It's we didn't stick to a strategy or have a culture, a game plan in place every month, and kept that consistent every month. You do so many things within the dealership or fixed ops, trying just to meet the daily demands, whether it's taking care of your customers, your employees, the vendors, the manufacturer. You take your eye off the ball. But the best thing you can do is put in things to make your culture what you want to get out of retention, and not to be reactionary. Because when you start reacting, you're going to toss out offers that are maybe get the customer in, maybe not. And the other problem is people need to understand retention is a number. It's not parts and labor sales in general. They need counts. They don't need gross profit. I mean, they want both, right? That's the game. The game is to get the guest in and have a good parts and labor ticket. But the key is getting them nose to nose and toes to toes with a consultant, where we can get that repair order counted. And then you've got to make sure that you're following the guidelines by the manufacturer. Like Toyota, for instance, they list out 4 or 5 operation codes that if there wasn't a dollar spent or didn't qualify for a TLE, they let you use a specific op code and it qualifies. So you just gotta hit everything from an angle. Be consistent every month and try not to be reactionary. Our process obviously depends on the manufacturer. Most manufacturers now are going to give you customers list specific on who we target. So it's about making sure that we have the offer that the guest needs, making sure the messaging's right. But I think that the companies or organizations that are getting into the prepaid maintenance or the buy 3 and get this discount I'm starting to see a lot more traction on that, because you're getting 3 oil changes cheaper than what you could get them for a la carte, and that's 3 visits. And like Toyota Care, you get 5 service visits, 25,000 miles. I've got a ton of customers, dealers that offer that package again at a discounted rate, so that retention continues. One, not only is it keeping the retention and the subsequent visits coming, now you're getting them up to that 50,000 mile range, which they're out of warranty, and you still got them coming in. So I think that it's important to give customers options on what they can do. The amenities are a big deal. Some people don't pitch that they have a child play area, and I know how important that is to single moms, is to have the amenities regularly posted on our marketing. Like we do a really good job of that for our customers, is to show them, maybe even have a picture of a bistro or a child play area, things that separate you not from your other dealer. They're not your true competitors. It is the independent shops. Independent shops may be quicker in some services, but from a brick and mortar world, they don't compare to what most dealerships offer. I've got a Toyota dealership in Minnesota that specifically requested our services because their TLE was not very good. It wasn't exceptional. We started with them a year ago. It'll be a year in July, I believe. And the target for TLE is 102%. I believe they were in the lower 90s. And between their culture and them changing what they're doing and our marketing strategies that we use from our folks in Houston, not only have they They exceeded TLE, but we've maintained it.